The governor lays out ideas to bring more businesses and more jobs to Texas.
We will build a more prosperous future for all Texans.
How his list of legislative priorities could protect businesses and help Texans looking for work. Lawmakers prepare new legislation to fight human trafficking in Texas, but the battle goes beyond government.
Doesn't take a lot of math wizard to realize that we are pretty stretched pretty thin. And we regulate 56,000 locations.
The effort's underway now to get people like you to help victims of trafficking. What happens when a racial profiling complaint is filed in Texas? A lot of times, nothing. We reveal why proving an accusation is almost impossible. Hello, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of State of Texas. I'm Josh Hinkle, and today I'm joining you from outside the Texas Governor's Mansion. Governor Greg Abbott is preparing to deliver his State of the State address this week. He's doing it live in primetime, and we'll broadcast it statewide Monday night at 7 p.m. The governor already gave an indication of his economic priorities to include in the address. Our Wes Rappaport takes a look at the governor's plans for jobs and businesses in Texas.
Definitely, it's been different.
At the Polka Dot Alley boutique in Lubbock, store manager Kim Halstead spends a lot of time thinking about protecting her customers.
Keep everyone safe while still being able to get out and shop and do the things that they need to do.
It's businesses like this that Governor Greg Abbott says he wants to protect.
I'm working with the legislature on a bill that provides civil liability protections for both individuals and businesses that operated in good faith during the course of the pandemic.
Abbott also said he wants to continue building a strong workforce, and he's asking the legislature to streamline project permits.
Compared to other segments of the economy, construction has been well off during this pandemic. However, that doesn't mean that we haven't encountered our roadblocks and difficulties.
The Texas Construction Association wants to make sure the subcontractors get a seat at the table.
If we don't have enough subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, mechanical skilled tradespersons, if we don't have enough of those type of people, then we can't build the buildings for the new businesses that are coming here.
Abbott also promised to keep tapping into the state's enterprise fund, which is used to lure businesses to Texas with grant money.
We will build a more prosperous future for all Texans.
I'm Wes Rappaport for State of Texas.
Another priority the governor has revealed is improving broadband access. He's also revealed other priorities across the state as he's been delivering speeches in recent weeks. 1 week ago, he outlined public safety goals during a roundtable discussion with members of law enforcement. Abbott listed bail reform as one of his top priorities. He also renewed his call for the state to punish cities that pull funding and resources from police departments. 2 weeks ago, the governor outlined his healthcare priorities at an event hosted by the Texas Public Policy Foundation. He talked about increasing access to telehealth and making sure Texans with pre-existing conditions can get insurance.
We must ensure that regardless of what may happen at the federal level, we need to ensure that all Texans will have insurance coverage for pre-existing conditions.
Democrats have pointed out that the Affordable Care Act already includes coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. On Thursday, the governor signed an executive order directing state agencies to prepare to challenge what he calls federal overreach. It targets actions that threaten the Texas energy industry. The order came 1 day after President Joe Biden signed an executive order to temporarily ban new leases on federal land for oil and gas companies. That order will have an impact here in Texas. Maggie Glenn takes a closer look at which producers in the state will be affected by these new regulations.
If other states are more limited, then Texas is more open for business, and it's better for us.
President Biden's new order only applies to new leases on federal land and offshores. Onshore in Texas, that only accounts for 1.8% of our land.
It really doesn't have an impact on the Texas side of the Permian Basin at all.
Oil companies in other states with more federal land could end up coming to Texas if they're looking to expand.
But if they couldn't drill on those, well, then they're going to shift over to their Texas-based acres to drill them.
While producers in the Permian Basin aren't concerned, it's a different story for producers along the Gulf Coast.
If these plans to stop production on federal lands continues and goes into effect, if that were to occur today, we would lose 120,000 jobs by the year 2022, and we would lose $65 million annually.
But environmentalists doubt there would be that high of an interest from new producers offshore.
Those are expensive and risky places to drill. We don't think that that kind of investment makes a whole lot of sense right now, and particularly not from an administration that's trying to act on climate change.
Economists agree, explaining the order is expected to minimally impact the energy sector as a whole.
There are not bans on new offshore wind, and so there are other ways we can leverage our offshore industry anyway.
Maggie Glenn for State of Texas.
Maggie also spoke with Texas Land Commissioner George P. Bush about the order. He says he supports potential lawsuits to block the order, and he's looking to fight other potential moves by the administration.
We're keeping a close eye on nominations for the Interior Secretary and, of course, the Energy Secretary's testimony, which has already basically said that they will let go of the oil and gas industry at the cost of forcing the creation of the renewables. I just want to share with you and your audience that in Texas, we've always taken a market-based approach towards developing energy. Our portfolio, for example, we develop solar and wind and looking at new technologies that are storing electricity in large-scale batteries that can then be transported to urban areas. But you can't just kill the oil and gas industry overnight, and that's what this president and his cabinet are attempting to do. So, look, we want to stay out of the courthouse. We want to work with the new leadership and show them what this means for an economy, because if you want to take care of your people, you got to leave the industry alone.
The moratorium on new leases on federal land will last 60 days. The Texas Oil and Gas Association says the real issue will be if the administration makes the order permanent. Coming up, we dig deeper to investigate racial profiling in Texas.
There are no tests that can really look into the heart of a police officer and tell whether or not they harbor discriminatory attitudes.
Now we reveal why most complaints go nowhere and why it's difficult to find data about those claims.
We move money, we move guns, we move cars, we move people.
Human trafficking is a serious threat in Texas, and plans to fight it go beyond law enforcement. The efforts to get everyday Texans to help victims escape.